morning everyone, and thank you Sharma ji and Tyagi ji for giving us this opportunity. I will not take much time. I'll introduce the distinguished guests out here who will be sharing their experiences. The first person to share the experience is Abhinav Sharma. He is the Vice President Learning and Development in Barclays. He handles learning and development. He is based in Noida, but handles learning and development for multiple countries for Barclays. For those of you, you all may have noticed, you may not have seen a Barclays branch office. Barclays in India has an investment इनका है बहुत strong, और India में पूरा back-end office है for the global operations. तो एक बहुत बड़ा इनका ऑफिस है सेक्टर 62 में, पुणे में है, मुंबई में है. कुल मिलाकर करीब 25,000 लोग इंडिया में बेस्ड हैं, and he heads learning and development globally. We have Ashish Sinha out here. ये मेरे साथ फिलिप्स में काम करते थे. Ashish Sinha is a distinguished engineer from IIT खड़गपुर. इन्होंने लाइटिंग इंडस्ट्री में बहुत काम किया हुआ, अलग अलग कंपनीज में किया है. फिलिप्स में इन्होंने डिजाइन देखा है, R&D देखा है, प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट देखा है, मार्केटिंग देखा है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, प्रोक्योरमेंट. अभी ये चीफ जनरल मैनेजर हैं इन सूर्य रोशनी. तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग इनके पास लाइटिंग, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, इलेक्ट्रिकल का बैकग्राउंड है. मेरे कुलीग हैं अवीक चौधरी वहाँ पर. अवीक चौधरी ने हर टेलीकॉम कंपनी में काम किया हुआ है. एयरटेल में किया है, रिलायंस में किया है, MTS जो बंद हो गई है, एयरसेल में किया हुआ है, और साथ में इन्होंने वोडाफोन में भी काम किया हुआ है. इसके बाद इन्होंने कंसल्टिंग कंपनी ज्वाइन करी थी EY, जहाँ पर ये टेलीकॉम प्रैक्टिस हेड कर रहे थे. तो वेरी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग टेलीकॉम बैकग्राउंड. ब्रीफली अबाउट मी, मैंने 3 इंडस्ट्रीज में काम किया. मैंने ऑटोमोटिव इंडस्ट्री में काम किया है, तो मारुति हो जाए या टाटाज हो जाए, इनसे मैंने बहुत क्लोजली काम किया हुआ है. मैंने कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल्स में काम किया है, गोदरेज में काम किया है, पैनासोनिक में काम किया और टेलीकॉम में काम किया हुआ है. That's very briefly, but I'll ask them to share their experiences. So first we have Abhinav Sharma. Abhinav.
Good morning everyone. I think it's a great honor to be here, right? And special thanks to all the faculty members, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Tyagi, and all of you who've taken out time to hear us, right? Today I'll talk about a lot of things about my experience over the last 15-16 years, right? I'll also talk about what do we look for in the right candidate. I think a lot of you will be giving interviews in the next few years, right? So it's very important to realize what is it that the industry experts are looking for, right? So I'll also talk about that. Before that, I'll talk something about the industry as well as myself, right? So, is there a question? No worries. So guys, STEM, right? That is where most of you are from, right? You must have heard the word STEM, which is science, technology, engineering and mathematics, right? I think it's very important and it's been given the due importance over a period of time. But the true potential of any economy is only realized when STEM interacts with commerce, right? So in the end, it all boils down to money, right? I might be very straightforward in saying that, but that's pretty much true, right? And most of you being engineers and MBAs are really graduating at the right time, right? Don't look at the world economy at this point in time, but look at the journey or the development journey of our country, India, right? You are best placed at this point in time. Why your professors and your lecturers will be preparing you with the right technical acumen that you need to land a job, but it is you who really takes a center stage in your career, right? तो हमें खुद ही decide करना है कि हमें किस industry में जाना है, right? और उसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा. So हम देखेंगे कि आज क्या-क्या चीजें जो करी जा सकती हैं, and plus what have I done, right? When I was in your age group, right? So I was someone who would always be on top of what's happening in the world of economics, in terms of technology, as well as geopolitics. Now it sounds really strange that I'm in college. What do I do about geopolitics? How it helps? Now I'll tell you about my experience. So I graduated in 2007, right? And I think most of you were just starting school then, right? So this was the time when we had the great economic crisis, right? So we hear about Great Depression in the 20th century, and the 21st century we had the great economic crisis of 2007-8. So I was also thinking कि अब मैं MA करता हूँ economics में या मैं MBA करता हूँ, but मैंने सोचा कि ये टाइम अभी बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं है क्योंकि globally economies are really down. But this also brought me to a very important aspect कि banks क्यों fail कर रहे हैं, right? और बड़े-बड़े manufacturers क्यों fail कर रहे हैं? And this is when I decided कि मेरे को शायद अभी जॉब नहीं करनी है, अभी मेरे को आगे MA नहीं करना है, बल्कि एक जॉब करके देखना है कि एक बैंक काम कैसे करता है. This is how I landed my first job with one of the biggest banks in the world called HSBC. I'm sure all of you must have heard about the name, right? There is a branch in Noida, and I'm sure there's a branch in Great Noida as well for this bank. So I landed a job in Hyderabad, right? So it's very important that when you're choosing the career, you choose the right domain, right, rather than the right brand. And I'm discussing maybe as not the right step I took. So the role I got wasn't really something that I really wanted to do, but I took it up anyway because I wanted to really find out how a bank really works, right? And at that age of 21, 22, you have the capacity to take risks, right? So that's what I did. Eventually I came to Noida, and because I was generally very well read on what are the new industries setting up shops, and after the depression, a lot of international players were setting up shops in India, right? One of the reasons was India was growing and it is still continuing to grow. The second, it was a great destination to move their manufacturing as well as their back office operations, which Rajiv ji just spoke about, right? And that's how I landed up a job in Barclays in the year 2008, right? So I'll give you a quick summary. In the first 10 years in my role here, I did 6 different jobs within the same organization, and I got 4 promotions within these 10 years, right? And there are different skills required at different point in time, right? I can go across, talk about all of them, but the skills that are really required for the job that you will land doing might be very technical, right? And I talk about the things that were common or the things that I really followed and which really helped me. So from my day one, I ensured that I'm really talking to a lot of people, right? Building the right contacts. I'm sure in your college as well, if you know the right people, it really helps. You know how it will get things done. होता है ना कि हम उसको जानते हैं, उससे फायदा हो जाता है और काम हमारा जल्दी हो जाता है, ये आगे भी काम करेगा, right? So it's very important that you continue building the right contacts, right? And it is not for an undue advantage, it's just knowing the right things at the right time, right? So it's very important. The second is, I always raise my hand whenever there was an opportunity to work on a project, right? Or anything that I thought will go beyond my team, right? So if you are working in, say, one particular class, if you get an opportunity to work with a different batch in a different group, I would always take that up, right? I thought this is a great way I can build my contacts and maybe learn something new as well. Then any cross-functional work. So whereas my domain right now might be learning and development, but even if I get an opportunity to work on an engineering project, I am more than happy to raise my hand, right? Because I know this will help me later on in my career for sure, right? One thing that there is no parallel for is the learning that you have, right? So the knowledge that you're gaining right now, no matter how many contacts you have, people you know, unless until you have the domain knowledge or the certifications required to perform a particular role, you really need that, right? So I continue doing that. I think I did my MBA almost 8 years into working. So remember initially I was thinking of doing my MA or MBA right after graduation. I waited 8 years and then did my MBA, and that too in analytics. Whereas the team I was working on was finance. Everybody else was either a chartered accountant or an MBA in finance. But I took something which I thought was more future proof, right? So MBA and analytics really helped me work across teams, right? Finally, I think the biggest decision or the most important decision I took was choosing a mentor, right? So I think this is something that not all of us do, especially not when we are learning or in our colleges or our schools, right? It's very important to choose a mentor, somebody who has more experience than you, and he and she can really guide you what to do. So my mentors helped me understand what my areas of strengths are and what are my so-called weaknesses or the areas I can do better on. And this really helped me apply for different jobs within the organization. So मैं क्या करता था, देखता था कि इस जॉब में क्या-क्या चीजों की जरूरत है और फिर देखता था क्या इसमें मेरी strengths हैं. So it was very easy for me to realize ये काम करके मेरे को मजा आएगा, right? And I think it's very important that the work you do, you should also enjoy that. Then it becomes very easy for you to excel in that space. I think मैंने बहुत अपने बारे में बात कर लिया है. Let's move on to more interesting topics like when we go out on hiring someone or to hire someone, what is it that we really look for, right? What are the sort of things that we expect a particular person to say, right? And I will not go in depth on technical knowledge because you guys already possess that, and if your resume has been shortlisted for an interview, I am assuming that you already have the technical acumen, right? So there are all these things, जैसे I'm sure we've been prepared for this, that if we go for an interview, we need to be well dressed, right? We should not be putting on a very strong perfume. Our shoes should be polished. So these are very simple things, right? But many things that don't get called out is if I enter a room where I'm being interviewed, the most important thing is a smile, right? So when you carry a smile into the room, immediately changes the mood of the room, right? And it's very important that you try and mirror the energy of the person who's interviewing you, right? So if the person on the other side is as loud as me, you probably try and match him, right? Or if he's really soft-spoken and the energy seems low, you can also choose to mirror that, right? That builds up that rapport automatically, right? You don't even work hard for it, it happens. Now, many a times you get asked, tell me about yourself in an interview. You must have seen this in movies, in videos, in so many things, right? This is not the time when the interviewer is expecting you to tell them that at the age of 10, you saw a car and you decided you want to be an engineer. They are not there to find out that, right? Use this opportunity to tell them about, you've already gone through the job description, right? So what are the things that are required in the role and how do you have the skill set that are required there? So you build up the story around why you are the right candidate for this particular role, right? So it's very important to take the advantage of this. While it will be followed up with a lot of technical questions that you guys are already equipped to answer, right? And this moves me to the final 2 or 5 minutes of an interview, right? Which I think are very, very important, right? Many a times we get asked at the end of the interview, do we have any questions, right? So if you are giving the interview, I will ask you, do you have any questions? And most of the time the responses we receive is, no, we don't have any further questions, right? And whilst you might not really have a question at that point in time, but the impression it gives is maybe you are not really interested in giving the interview, or you are the know-it-all, right? That I know everything, I don't want to ask anything, right? Use this opportunity, okay? You can ask a very simple question, thanking the person who's interviewing and asking, is there anything in the interview that made you feel that my candidature does not fit the role you're interviewing for, right? It's a very straightforward question. I can either tell you that you are the right candidate, yes, aapne sare answers sahi diye and let's move forward. Here you can thank the person and tell him that I was very interested in this job and after meeting you, I'm really looking forward to the next steps. This person will definitely remember you, right? इंटरव्यू में बहुत जरूरी होता है कि जो आपका इंटरव्यू ले रहा है वो आपको याद रखे, क्योंकि उसने शायद 50 इंटरव्यू लेने हैं एक हफ्ते के अंदर और 5 लोगों को चूज करना है, तो आप कैसे याद रहोगे ये बहुत जरूरी है. Worst case scenario, he might say कि actually, you know what, your interview was nice, but you are not the right candidate because we were looking for somebody who knows advanced Excel. This is just an example, right? And this is where you get a second chance, right? You can come back stating that maybe I wasn't great in articulating my strengths in a nice manner, whereas I've done X, Y, Z, whatever you know about advanced Excel, you have that second opportunity to talk about, right? So use this and make the best opportunity of this. If you remember, the interviewer will actually remember you from the first 2 to 5 minutes and the last 2 to 5 minutes of the interview. Whatever happens in the middle is important, but not as much as the starting and ending of it is, right? I'll quickly dwell on to few things which are a strict no-no, especially when you are trying to look for a job, right? It's very important that we do not go ahead and apply for every job with the same resume, right? So you might come across a lot of opportunities, right? And if you use the same resume everywhere, the chances are it is not going to work anywhere, okay? So you need to ensure you customize your resume basis the opportunity that exists. You bring out your strengths in line with the requirements of that particular role. So this is a very important way to really forward your resume to the right place. The second is, many times we go through a job description and within the first 30 seconds or a minute you decide, ये तो मेरे लिए ठीक है या ये तो मेरे लिए ठीक नहीं है. होता है ना ऐसा कि हम देख के बोलते हैं ये सही नहीं है, right? So it's very important that we judge the job, we study it end to end to find out what are the things it includes, right? It could be a very important technical aspect that is required, but you missed on it, right? There are such things that I can go on and on. But one of the most important thing is don't focus on the brand, right? Focus on the job you're applying for, right? I think I made that mistake, or it was a learning for me to apply for the right role. Luckily, I was in a space where things were moving really fast and I was able to move between functions, but that might not happen all the time, right? So choose your domain and stick to it, right? But don't stick to it forever. Be aware of the geopolitics and the new things in automation coming up. There could be other roles that you could do in the future, right? So guys, I can go on and on talking about things, but I'll close it on one important question that a lot of us get asked is, what is your weakness, right? In the interview, you do get this question asked many a times. And most of us say, I don't have a weakness, right? Again, I'm that know-it-all person and I'm perfect, okay? So it's very difficult to be in a position where you know everything and you're perfect, right? And the reason I or any interviewer will ask this question to you is they are looking to understand if you are honest in your responses, right? If you ever introspected, are you self-aware, right? So in case there is an area that you need to work on, are you even aware of it? And third, do you have a plan in place to work on it, right? So if you get asked this question, never answer that I have nothing, I don't have any weakness at all, right? And I'll give you 3 answers that you should never ever give. Never talk about the fact that you are not good at people skills. Never talk about the fact that you're not good at time management. And never talk about the fact that you're not good at multitasking. These are probably the 3 skills that are required in any and every role that anybody will offer you, right? So if you say any of these 3, this might almost like end your interview there, right? Finally, the things you need to talk about, and if you really have to talk about your weakness, talk about things that are not very related to the job. So if you're really starting your career, you can say that you generally say yes to everything, right? While it is an area of development, you can't generally say yes to everything that comes your way, but maybe as starting off your career, the person recruiting you might even like this as a quality, that you are saying yes to everything, right? And you can end up saying that you, now what you do is you take a step back, you look at everything on your plate at that point in time and then take an intelligent decision to say yes or no. That's how you're working on it. Or you can also talk about the thing that you really find it difficult to raise your hand to say I want help. So you will take pride in whatever you do. You love doing your work, but when you need help, you face a bit of a challenge by raising your hand and stating that मेरे को help चाहिए, right? So this is also a great area of weakness that you can point out in an interview, right? So guys, I can go on and on, but I'll pause here. Hopefully whatever I've shared has been useful. If you've not been able to recall everything I've said, at least try and take back at least 2 or 3 different things, which will really help you in your interviews in the future. Thank you and best of luck.
See, all the guys here are doing engineering and MBA, right? Yes, no? Very good. और बहुत सारे लोग ये सोचते हैं यार मैं बस पास करूं और एक टॉप लेवल पे पहुंच जाऊं। हाँ तो बोलो। ये फोटो दिख रहा है? So we have to reach at the top. क्या तरीके? यहाँ से चढ़ गए? या कुछ लोगों के टॉप पे जाना है तो पैराशूट से लैंड कर गए। बट पैराशूट से लैंड करेंगे तो क्या होगा? You will definitely fall down. So there are certain defined ways in life, and this is real life. Earlier Abhinav was talking about the hiring mechanism. Hiring के बाद आप जॉब में इन तो हो गए, उसके बाद काम कैसे करना वो तो देखेगा. So I will spend some time how the real life in a corporate is. You look at the stairs. There are stairs, और हर किसी के लिए stair है. हर कोई अपनी stair अपनी हिसाब से बना सकता है. हम कोशिश करेंगे पैराशूट, that will not work. हम कोशिश करेंगे jumping or something across. It might work, but it will hit back. A very sure way of success is working hard towards it. A bit about myself. I come from a very small town called Gurgaon Steel City. How many are aware? It's a small steel plant city in Jharkhand. So did my schooling over there and studied hard, got into IIT, that is where I worked into energy engineering BTech course, and we thought life is settled, बस एक job, life set. So my passing out was 2002, तो हमारा जो job placement होता था that was supposed to be 2001. And if you recollect that 2001 was a time जो 2000 का recession था उसका carry forward था. All the companies that were coming to campuses had withdrawn their recruitment plan. Somehow one of the company remained. I don't know how. And I was eligible. I applied. I got through it. मुझे लगा चलो मुझे peace of mind मिल गई. I stopped studying. 7th semester के बाद I stopped studying. फिर जब जॉब लगी, जब काम करने गया, तो मुझे लगा यार ये मैं कहाँ गया हूँ? बहुत सारी चीजें जो मुझे पता ही नहीं है. And that is where I first ये हुआ कि there are things which we have studied or known on a paper, but in the real world it is different, and that is where we have to pick it up. तो वो काम जब शुरू किया तब लगा कि यस रियल लाइफ जो लर्निंग होती है वो ऑन द जॉब ही होती है. Lighting industry, there was nothing which was any course in lighting, so I was in a lighting company. A lot of technologies were there, but then I picked up bit by bit, connected with different people and learned everything around it. As work progressed, so marriage is there, the kid is there. Why I'm pointing out these things? Because as you're working, it's not your career alone. You are growing up, you are expanding your family, your time is so crucial, and managing your energy. When you are at work, work. When you are at home, work properly, or be at home in that way. And whatever time spending you are doing with your friends or relative or family member, ensure that you are 100% there at that point of time. Because today if we see that, okay, my father is sitting here but I am not going to talk to him because I am playing a game on my mobile. Do you think it will help? Later on, when you will become father later on, you will realize these things. Because when I got to know these enlightenments came when I became my father myself, that what being a father is about. And your career is like एक पैर पे खड़े होके चलना पड़ता है. समझ में आता क्या होता? So you have to jump over everything. Career हो गया, work हो गया, boss के demand हो गए, आपको career growth करना है. You have to keep learning yourself. So all those things are there. और ये सारी चीज first 7, 8 years, 10 years तक होंगे and be alright with that. अगर कहीं पर भी आपको ये आता है यार मुझे तो सीखना नहीं मेरा खत्म हो गया, gone. The world is evolving fast. We have to keep pace with it. The earlier we learn, the better it is. So, I was in a lighting company. Philips was a company, and I got an opportunity to work on a very specific project, which was DMRC, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. सभी ने नाम सुना. So 2003-4 के around they all had the first underground stations coming, all 10 of them from Chhatarmarg to Central Secretariat and Rajiv Chowk. I didn't know much about writing, but I picked it up, learned it the hard way. The hard way of learning is learning it, going, meeting with the people over there, and many times it would happen that, very good example I would share. I was talking to some of the client over there. They were talking of the light fixture dimensions to that level. I was a bit aware, but then I really saw that the importance of those dimensions is so crucial for them. So why not me? After that, I really worked out a lot around it. Completed all those designs, whatever was required. And it's not that it was done only on a software or something. We had to, after the installation of all the light, we have to go to the site, do the lux level measurement and prove it that your design was right. And we got right the first time itself. So that was, जो भी आप लोग दिल्ली मेट्रो में travel करते हैं, the first underground station lighting was actually done by me. So I take pride in that, and lot of learning happened over there. Because in those organizations, listen to this part very carefully. We think that we know this part, और हम किसी एक के साथ बात करेंगे हमारा काम हो जाएगा. That is a myth. Because there are different people, those people have different responsibilities and different agendas to fulfill. अगर आप किसी, say for example, एक contractor है, he will be more interested on the costing part. But if you go and talk to the DMRC general manager, he will say, okay, मेरा यार काम ठीक से होना चाहिए, time पे हो जाए. On the project manager side. So all those perspectives you have to connect together and talk on those lines. कि आपका मैं काम time पे करूँगा. Then there will be security also coming up. Boss इस light से कोई भी problem नहीं होनी चाहिए, glare नहीं होना चाहिए, कोई accident नहीं होना चाहिए, कोई fire नहीं होना चाहिए. So you have to get all those perspectives in place to work. And we should be open about it. The more open we are, the better we are in a position to understand different people's perspective and close deals faster. अगर हम एक ही एजेंडा पे अटके रहेंगे, we won't be able to shift gears. So कई बार ये चीज लोगों का तो यार मुझे तो ये आता, मैंने उससे बात कर लिया, मेरा काम हो गया. It is not. And definitely for your projects, for your deals, you will be meeting people at different levels. So my learning is keep running, keep learning and unlearning. So what I said, people understand seeing things differently and your words have power. And especially building professional trust takes time and commitment. It's not that today we are 20 years here and we have everyone to respect or connect. It is not so. It is a fruit of 20 years of labor. So be ready for those things. Then after that I thought, hey, lighting with Augya, let me go back and change some company. So I changed and went into a security company. But then there I realized I need to have that courage to explore that, and which I expressed. So in all your job lines, you need to have that courage to listen to yourself and see and explore yourself. Might be the guy sitting next to you, he has different tastes and you have different tastes. It is important to really decide what is the taste you like. So I went back, changed some companies, moved to another industry. Like even earlier we were talking, we should not be fearful of exploring other industries. So I explored, worked over there. Again, it was a CCTV access control systems. And mind you, I knew nothing about it. But again, I picked it up, learned it all, and then started getting onto it. But somewhere I realized, sir, this is not the thing. I want to work something back on the lighting side or be associated with renewable side. So then I got out of all those things. एक बड़ी अच्छी सी या बहुत बुरी भी कह सकते हैं. People think that करियर में एक बार ग्रोथ होता है बस होता ही जाता है ना? मैं भी यही सोचता था, but मेरे साथ ये हुआ नहीं. So what happened, somewhere around 8 to 9 years of work experience, I got a very good job, international role, the package was excellent. I landed over there, but then I was detected with tuberculosis, and then I couldn't complete the visa process. 1 month, I had to come back. And after that, it took me more than a year to get back. I was zero on my savings. I was getting married. So, marriage with a jobless person. And a year before that, my mother had passed away. So, all those things had come together. And then the obvious question comes, यार मेरे साथ ही क्यों हुआ? So, उसके साथ अच्छा हो रहा, उसके साथ अच्छा हो रहा, उसके साथ अच्छा हो रहा. So you stop asking that, why me? You will never get an answer. It's just, वो हो चुका, move forward. Whatever the learning you can take, whatever the courage you can take, move ahead, move ahead. The faster you move ahead, the better it is. Not to run away from it. Embrace it as it is. बस था मेरे साथ. Fine, move ahead. And this you will constantly see across. यार वो तो सीनियर मैनेजर बन गया, मैं अभी तक डिप्टी मैनेजर हूँ, ये क्या चक्कर है? उसका अभी जॉब ठीक चल रहा है, उसका रोल हो गया, वो इंटरनेशनल चला गया. Stop those comparisons from your end. अगर आपको सच में काम करना अच्छे से, compare your work with your own thing, not from others' perspective. But then I picked it up. All those things happened, and that is where you get the sense of family importance. कई बार लगता है family कहाँ फंस गया है. But there is where certain events happen in life where family becomes so much important that those are the actually pillars of success. And then having done that, then I saw that I could move ahead. That is where I shifted gears, came back to Philips to set up a solar street lighting business over there. So I was the co-founding member of solar lighting here. The first time this company was doing, I had done zero on the solar part, but I had studied it, so I knew that I'm ready to learn. So my biggest instinct on me was that whatever is given, I'm going to learn it up. No shortcuts around it. जिससे भी मुझे help लेनी है, जिससे भी पूछना, who is the master on this, I'll learn from them and then pick it up. So this was accountable to create the new business organization and step the process and structure. इतना आसान सा काम है, right? So you have cherry picked for this job. So I had passion for the solar part and had done some new business model. इसमें previous lighting experience भी काम आता. So moving in the same domain, actually had the previous experience of lighting work on the solar part because lot of things get connected together. तो मुझे लगा कि ये तो बहुत अच्छा है, so I know everything and I can do it. And you know what? I thought setting a new business in an existing organization is piece of cake, but I was completely wrong. बड़ी कंपनी है, ये बिजनेस सेट करना कितना आसान है, सब कुछ अवेलेबल है, कर देते हैं. This was again the myth over here. What it was? You are jumping into an empty sky. It was like that because hardly any people would come and support. यार तेरा तो सोलर बिजनेस छूटता है, मेरा ऑलरेडी मैं लाइटिंग पैटर्न्स में 100 crores कर रहा हूँ. Why should I get into this part? But then you have to very strategically work that way up. So this is the challenge. और कहीं पर भी आप लोग जाएंगे तो चीजें ऐसे ही मिलेंगी, भागना नहीं है इससे. You have to just work on it and put it in systems and processes. All people, different functions. It is a random of all the things. So we take this first.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible now? मजा आ रहा है, बोरिंग लग रहा है? Good, connect. ये मूवी चला रहा है, ये रियल लाइफ की मूवी, and this took me lot of courage to put all these things up and sharing with you. So यहाँ पे क्या काम था, सारे कुछ किया हमने. यहाँ पे प्रोडक्ट सेटअप क्या होगा, स्ट्रैटेजी क्या होगी, I put all the technical skills of what I knew about the product part, कहाँ पे बनवाएंगे, क्या स्पेसिफिकेशन होंगे, and how we are going to sell it. So this is how this product came up. So a traditional approach versus a technological approach. I'll just move ahead part of it. And then moving ahead, after that, having done that, I worked in like internal roles change करने पड़ते हैं. So where I did and moved into lighting academy, where all my experience of lighting came into play to work out with external environment. So we set up, we learned, we did programs with School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, some IIIT programs we did across India, Delhi, Chennai, Pondicherry. And then I also did some learning programs with the partners, जो भी हमारे branded retail के dealers होते थे उनके लिए. And this was something which was out of my comfort zone. And still, and that is where it is important. कोई भी चीज़ ऐसी होती है आप उस समय होते, choose something which is out of your comfort zone. ये चीज़ मुझे नहीं पता था. I got into this and did it very successfully. Then again, 15 plus years. Change of company, so I changed that company to another and work. So what is biggest thing to look at is the culture. उस कंपनी में कल्चर कैसा रहेगा, क्या आप उसके हिसाब से चल रहे हो, अडैप्ट कर रहे हो, and then the expanded accountability definitely comes in. So biggest advice I would give is don't be stuck to your job description. कई बार होता अच्छा तुम्हारा job description ये है वही काम करना, और कई बार होता सर ये तो मेरा काम नहीं है. This is the most common thing you will listen everywhere. But if you really have to grow, you have to look at beyond job description. Because जहाँ पे चीजें फंसी हुई होती हैं, वहाँ पे आप काम करोगे, हर कोई वो नोट करेगा, and definitely वो आपको benefit करेगा. Not immediately, but it will benefit. That will build your credibility. Always on ground. कई बार लोग सोचते हैं मैं ऑफिस में बैठ गया तो मैं तो साइट जाऊँगा नहीं, मैं प्रॉब्लम देखूँगा नहीं. Here I have made the difference. In spite of me at this level, I ensure that I visit even at complaint site. Why? Because the moment I am there, nothing or no one can actually bypass me or my perspectives. एक मिनट में पता चल जाता है प्रॉब्लम क्या है और कहाँ पे है. I've been traveling a lot, so travel I've seen it becomes a way of life. In your cases, कई बार आप लोग ये चीज़ resist करते हो यार मैं travel नहीं कर सकता, मैं तो यही रहूँगा. Please take travel as a leisure. आप जितनी भी जगह जाओगे अलग अलग लोगों से मिलोगे, आपका लोगों को समझने का और काम करने का दायरा आपका स्ट्रॉन्ग होगा. आप कहीं भी जा सकते हो, नेशनली, इंटरनेशनली, बट डू दैट। और ट्रैवल में लोग कहते हैं यार टाइम वेस्ट हो जाता है, इट इज नॉट सो। यू हैव टू डू वेरी वेरी इफेक्टिव टाइम मैनेजमेंट।
सो पहले क्या है कि लाइफ ना कॉन्स्टेंटली बदलता रहता है। हम जब छोटे थे तो हमारा कुछ एक ड्रीम था। हाँ, पहले तो हम साइंटिस्ट बनना चाहते हैं। उस दिन मेरा भाई एक बच्चे को पढ़ा रहा था एंड वो ना मैथ्स और साइंस पढ़ा रही थी एंड वो बच्चे को पूछा मेरे वाइफ ने कि क्या बनोगे, तो बोल रहे मैं स्वीपर बनूंगा। तो मेरे वाइफ बोल रहे मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ तुम्हें मैथ्स, फिर वो क्यों करोगे? तो ये सेड कि मेरे को वही पसंद है। तो सबके जीवन में कुछ काम उनको पसंद है, मतलब एंड वो ना चेंज होता रहता है। तो इधर भी आप देखो, पहले साइंटिस्ट, फिर पायलट बनना चाहता है, फिर सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, आप में कोई कोई ऐसे होंगे सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, फिर जाके कुछ लोग सोचेंगे मैं यूट्यूबर बनूंगा। होता है ना? अच्छा, फिर घर में एक डिस्कशन चलता रहता है। ये तो हमारे टाइम पे था ही। मेरे पापा आके बोलते थे बेटा क्या बनोगे, डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, एमबीए, नालायक, कौन सा? तो उस टाइम ना करियर ऑप्शंस बहुत कम होते थे कि डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, ये वो। आजकल तो बहुत बढ़ गया है, वो ऑप्शंस बहुत बढ़ नहीं गया है। हाँ, मेरे पापा ऐसे बैठता था, हाँ, और बोलते थे कि कौन सा करियर पाथ चूज करोगे। ऐसे होता है घर में? हाँ, अच्छा, किसी का होता है, किसी का नहीं होता है। हमारे टाइम पे तो था। हाँ, बट ये स्टेज ना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। ये प्रेशर वाला सिचुएशन आ जाता है कि क्या बनोगे अभी बोलो, बट एक्चुअली उतना भी प्रेशर है नहीं, बिकॉज आजकल ऑप्शंस भी बहुत है, सोचने का टाइम है। तो आप वो सोचते रहो, बट ऐसा नहीं कि प्रेशर में आ जाना है, ठीक है? हाँ, आजकल तो कैरियर्स कितना डाइवर्स हो गए हैं। यूट्यूबर्स कौन कौन जानते हैं? सब फॉलो करते हो ना, मिलियंस फॉलोअर, मिलियन। हाँ, अच्छा, कोई है यंग, घर में बैठ के शेयर ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं। सो मेनी ऑप्शंस। हाँ, सो देयर आर मेनी ऑप्शंस टुडे एंड देयर इज नथिंग टू गेट स्ट्रेस्ड। कोई मतलब टेंशन वाला उतना बात है नहीं कि अभी हम टेंशन करने लगे हैं, ऑल दैट। सो ये एक फेज आता है कि एक ना टेंशन चलता रहेगा, क्या बनूंगा मैं, क्या बनूंगा, ये चलता रहेगा आपका। पसंद है इनको? हाँ, क्या बोल रहे हैं? When you realize you have to go to school, learn things, get a job to afford happiness. तो ये हम सब चलते हैं कि जॉब मिलेगा। अभी हम कुछ पूछते, एक बाइक दे दो, नहीं देता है, अपने पैसा कमा के दे देना। हाँ, तो हमको ऐसा लगता है जॉब मिलेगा, पैसा मैं कमाऊंगा, फिर बाइक लाके घर में खड़ा करूंगा। नहीं, मोबाइल बेटर वाला चाहिए, करेक्ट? सो ये जॉब से ही मिलने वाला है। मैं जब जॉब करूंगा, पैसे कमाऊंगा, अपने का लाऊंगा। एंड ये सबका होता है, हमारा भी हुआ था, आप लोगों का भी होता होगा। सो typically job is the most popular choice after college, and why not? Because इस टाइम पे हमारे लिए कैंपस में प्लेसमेंट के लिए कोई आता है, हाँ, and we are studying to get a job experience देती है, why not? But there are also some people, हाँ, जो immediately after college they go on to change the world, and वो जाके business में चले जाते हैं, but both are fine. हाँ, ऐसा मत करना कि यही बेस्ट है, मैं यही कर लूंगा, तो वो अच्छा नहीं है। नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। जॉब्स आर स्टिल द मोस्ट पॉपुलर। कॉलेज के बाद हम लोग सब जॉब ढूंढते हैं, एंड विच इज अ वेरी नेचुरल काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग। सो मेजॉरिटी हम लोग प्लेसमेंट्स, करियर ऐसे करके जाते हैं। कुछ लोग बिजनेस में भी जाते हैं। सो पहले हम जॉब्स का डिस्कस करते हैं। Me after getting placement, अब हम वो अंडर ग्रेजुएट नहीं रहे जो लिविंग करते थे। अब हमको चाहिए फुल इज्जत, नहीं चाहिए ना इज्जत। सो देखो, फर्स्ट थिंग आपका जो होगा टू दिस वर्ल्ड इज द कैंपस प्लेसमेंट। हाँ, बिकॉज वो कैंपस में कुछ कंपनीज आएंगे, हाँ, एंड एक मतलब प्रोसेस में आपको भी उधर अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी एंड आप जाके वो कैंपस प्लेसमेंट में पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हो। सो ये सबका ही पहले होता है एंड आपका भी होगा, मेरा भी हुआ था, आपका भी होगा।